She has some bad moments. Her moments are almost as bad as his. I think his are worse, actually.
Yeah.
But
she seems pretty senile, too.
She speaks in rhyme. It's weird. It's weird. But she has bad moments. And
in rhyme? What do you...
Well, the way she talks, the bus will go here and then the bus will go there, because that's what buses do. And it's weird. The whole thing is weird. This is not a president of the United States.
Several months later.
This is probably going to lead to a lot of Democrats increasing the chatter that Joe Biden should step aside and make room for another Democrat.
And I think the problem that Democrats have is they don't know who that Democrat would be right now. I don't think that people look at Kamala Harris and feel like she is ready to take that step forward. They look across the rest of the party, governors, senators, mayors, House members, and they're struggling to figure out who they could put up if it's not Joe Biden. And so I think the reality is Democrats are probably going to run Joe Biden.
Democrats, especially Democratic strategists, know. Republican strategists, anyone who is a professional politico, hell, the reporters know. Joe Biden is the president of the United States of America. Therefore, the head of the party that he is on the ticket of, he is a Democrat. Mm-hmm. And if the president of the United States of America is eligible to run for re-election and decides to do so, that's your nominee, baby. That's how it works. I know that that might not sound democratic, but that is the game. That's how it works. And so David Axelrod's comments are kind of crazy because Joe Biden did make his decision. He has started a re-election campaign.
All right, guys. So we got to talk about cackling Kamala Harris, who is polling even worse than President Sackchinian Joe against Trump in a recent slate of liberal media polls that has the mainstream liberal media going through an existential crisis over what Trump might do if he becomes president of the United States. It's pretty hilarious stuff. It really is. Okay, now that they see the writing on the wall that if the election was held today, that Trump would likely win in a landslide victory, they're coming out here and they're boohoo, whining, and crying about what Trump may do in office, okay? He is going to get revenge against his political enemies, right? This is what they're talking about. This is what they're afraid of. And I gotta tell you guys, I love it, right? I love seeing the media be afraid of Trump. They should be, right? They absolutely should be afraid of Trump. They should be afraid of what he's gonna do, right? Because again, if Democrats don't make some major changes, aka Joe Biden drops out of the race and they nominate somebody else, Trump is gonna cruise back to victory, okay? He's going to be president of the United States again, and that's regardless of whether or not he's convicted, in my opinion. Now, unfortunately for Democrats, Gavin Newsom, who looks like he's going to run, swears up and down that he's not going to, right? So he probably won't, but then again, he might be forced into the race. But until then, they're stuck with Kamala as Joe's replacement. And again, like I told you guys, Kamala is getting destroyed by Trump even worse than Biden, right? So even the natural number two, the natural replacement option for Joe Biden is losing even worse than Joe Biden is, right? So let's read here. A New York Times poll out Sunday contains some very bad news for President Joe Biden in a hypothetical 2024 matchup against former President Donald Trump, and even worse news for Vice President Kamala Harris. The Times poll, taken with Siena College, showed Trump leading Biden comfortably in 5 out of 6 battleground states, but in a hypothetical matchup with Harris, it's a clean sweep. The former president, according to the Times, beats Harris in all 6 of the battlegrounds. The states in question are Georgia, Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Biden won all 6 of those states in 2020. If Trump were to win a majority of those states, he would almost certainly win the presidency. If he were to sweep them, it is likely he would win in a rout. The one state out of the 6 in which Biden is currently holding a lead, according to the Times, is Wisconsin, where the incumbent has a 2-point edge, 47-45, but Trump turns the tables in a matchup with Harris, leading her 47-46. The Times findings are consistent with recent national favorability polls, according to the average of all recent polls conducted by 538. President Biden currently has a 38.7% approval rating nationwide, while Vice President Harris has a 37.2% approval rating. Yeah, so again, there's not a more unpopular politician in the country than Kamala Harris right now. But despite all this, you still have some liberals in the mainstream liberal media that are living in cuckoo for Cocoa Puff world, that are suggesting that in order for Democrats to win, they actually need more Kamala, not less. More Kamala if they want to win.
There is one secret weapon, not so secret, that they have at their disposal. That's Kamala Harris. On all of these issues, whether it's reproductive rights, affirmative action, voter suppression, just democracy broadly, for all of the reasons that you talked about at the top in terms of desegregation and the challenges to that. Here is an individual with the kind of intersectionality that is the future of the American voter and the Democratic Party, not the past. So why not put her out there to be able to speak to both the policy and the emotional content and urgency of these issues? That's what the Democrats need to do going forward.
What's it going to take, in your opinion, for that theory to be tested? For the Democratic Party to actually say, this is our person, this is who we want to put our effort and our muscle behind and try to move forward there?
They've already done it in that Joe Biden announcement, the campaign announcement. She was featured a lot more heavily than one would think. So the idea behind that, in my view, is that we're going to make her more of the face of the Democratic Party in this reelect. If you look at some recent reporting in these swing states, what are black voters saying? We haven't seen enough of the party. We haven't seen enough of her. And so why not just give them what they want? It's easy enough. They had some ads early on. They probably need to put a little more money behind it right now. But beyond that, put her out there.
Molly, I mentioned at the top of the segment that right now Biden is trailing Trump in terms of whatever the polls are saying, in 5 out of 6 swing states that are battleground states. Do you think that this is a big concern for Democrats at this point, or should it be?
Well, again, polls, and especially right now, we've seen Democrats have tended to overperform in polls. You'll remember the red wave midterm that didn't ever materialize. But I think we're a year out, so there's plenty of time to get Biden. And I agree with what Basil was saying about the vice president. When she goes and talks to colleges, and she's been on a college tour, she has been wildly popular. You see videos of people screaming for her. And I do think, look, the voters who they need to win are young and black and Hispanic. And those are the voters that she can reach. So I do think she's uniquely positioned here to really do good stuff.
Yeah, so I endorse this strategy, right? I fully 100% endorse this strategy, right? This is exactly what I want to see from Democrats. Put Kamala Harris out in front, right? Put the one person that is more unpopular than Joe Biden, right, in the country, quite literally the most unpopular politician in the country. Yeah, put her out in front, right? More Kamala is exactly what the Democrats need in order to beat Trump. I fully endorse this strategy, okay? Please listen to the black and brown journalists, the affirmative action hires on your network, MSNBC. Please listen to them, okay? Because the white liberal woman and the affirmative action guest, they know what they're talking about, okay? They're experts in this field. Trust me. Trust me. It's not their Trump derangement syndrome that is clouding their judgment. They have analyzed all the polls. They've analyzed how the Democrat Party has shown that they feel about Kamala doing a primary, okay? They've analyzed how Kamala Harris has consistently been the most unpopular politician in this country since she took office. And they concluded that she should be the person, right? She should be the guy. She should lead the Democrats against Trump, right? Which is a guaranteed way for Trump to win, okay? So yeah, please do that. But in the meantime, you do have some Democrats like Stacey Abrams, who for whatever reason, she's getting interviewed. People are talking about her. She was asked about Kamala and the fact that Kamala is extremely unpopular. And of course, she wants to blame misogyny and racism as the reasons for why Kamala Harris is not as popular as she feels that Kamala should be. Take a look.
I wanted to ask you about the vice president, because she has been under a huge amount of scrutiny through her entire time in office. I think there's a lot of reasons for this, but I want to ask you, as a prominent woman of color who's run for office, do you think she would be receiving these same critiques if she was a white man?
No.
No, not at all.
No. We will always question the person behind the person, but we cannot ignore that misogyny and racism remain very prevalent in our politics. And for those behaviors that don't rise to either misogyny or racism, There's also just the difference. Our expectations are set for the traditional white male vice president.
It's what it's always been.
It's what it's always been. We are not always great with new. But more importantly, I know if you filter through the critiques, if you think about how she is castigated, it is inextricably linked to race and gender. I applaud the poise with which she has responded.
Yeah, so this is why I really do believe that the Democrats are in for a rude awakening in 2024. And one of the reasons why is their inability to self-reflect and to be truthful with themselves about the reality of the performance of the Biden administration, including Kamala Harris, right? In that video I showed you guys before this video, in which you had the guy saying, well, it's a good idea for Democrats to put Kamala out there, right? You need to put Kamala out there. And his explanation for why they should put Kamala out in front had everything to do with Kamala's race and ethnicity and her sex, intersectionality, wokeness, than it had to do with anything that Kamala actually has done, right? But yet these same people, like Stacey Abrams, will come out here and tell you that all the criticism of Kamala, people don't like her because she's black. People don't like her because she's a woman, right? But you can't give us any real wins for Kamala, right? What has Kamala done to warrant her having a high approval rating, right? What has Kamala done that has actually improved the lives of American citizens as vice president? What has she done? Because Kamala was assigned to be the border czar. She is supposed to be in charge of the border. She went down to Central and South America to solve the root causes, right? She blames it on climate change, right? Solve the root causes of why the border is being overrun. And it has gotten worse since she went down there, right? It's gotten worse. She's done absolutely nothing in regards to the main thing that she was assigned to do. In fact, she's just disappeared because she doesn't want to do the role. She doesn't want to do the job. So she's just literally just said, I'm just not going to do it, right? I'm just not going to do it. Joe Biden said that Kamala was the last person he talked to before he made the disastrous decision in regards to Afghanistan withdrawal, right? Before he botched the Afghanistan withdrawal, probably one of the worst disasters in his administration. He said Kamala was the last person I talked to. This administration has been an absolute disaster. And Kamala Harris has been a part of this administration being a disaster. So again, tell me, Stacey, what has Kamala done to warrant a higher approval rating? Because everything just can't be that, well, people don't like her because she's black, because she's a woman. What criticism of Kamala have been levied against her that makes you think that, well, there's some type of bigotry in regards to why people don't approve of the job that she's doing? That is what a real journalist, not an ass kisser like Jen Psaki, would have asked Stacey Abrams in this interview, right? Again, if Jen Psaki was actually a real journalist, because they keep making these claims, but there's never any pushback. When is somebody going to ask these people that always boohoo, whine, and cry about racism, okay, what is one criticism of Kamala Harris that's rooted in racism? Which one? Again, the fact that she's the border czar and the border's wide open, right? Or the fact that, again, as vice president, she has been a part of the decisions that have been made that have basically damaged this country? What else has she done? What has she done to warrant the praise and glory that you think that she deserves? Or does she just need praise and glory because she's black and she's a woman, right? Because that's how this is supposed to work, right? That's how this is actually supposed to work. You can't criticize Kamala because she's black and she's a woman. She can't be doing a bad job because she's just doing a bad job, right? Can't be based off her own merits. No. People are saying she's doing a bad job because of her skin color, because she has a vagina. It's pretty amazing how that works. These Democrats have nothing but identity politics and victimhood. They don't have anything else to sell to the American people except that. And the reality is that people are not falling for it anymore, okay? I know it's a shock. A lot of people don't believe this. But apparently, the more diverse the state is, the worse that Biden performed in regards to the swing states. So the swing states that had less white people, Joe Biden actually performed worse in those states. And the more white people, Joe Biden performed better. Again, it's something that is extremely hard to believe, but I actually really do think that this is a phenomenon that you're starting to see, because I think that a lot of so-called people of color have caught on to the bullshit from the Democrats. The same type of bullshit that you hear out of people like Stacey Abrams, where they try to pretend like there's nothing bad, right? Our policies aren't terrible. We don't need to actually reevaluate our positions on certain issues, okay, and come up with new policies, right? No, we don't need to do that, right? We don't need to close the border. We don't need to stop spending money. We don't need to, stop sending money overseas. We don't need to get tough on crime, right? We don't actually need to change the direction. Everybody's just a racist. Everybody's a sexist. Everybody's a bigot. Everybody's a misogynist that doesn't agree with us. And it's not going to work anymore. It's just not going to. Voters are not going to go along for that. Voters, again, fortunately, they're waking up, right? And they're not voting emotionally anymore. Or put it this way, according to the polls, because there has been no votes cast yet. We got to see when the actual election come around, because polls are different than the election. But I'm just saying, if you believe the polls, people aren't falling for this anymore. This is played out. Like this, everybody's racist, everybody's sexist that doesn't agree with us. That doesn't work, right? This is not going to work. Stacey Abrams, you didn't lose because you're a black woman. You lost literally because people don't like your policies, right? It's really that simple. It's really that simple. And until Democrats accept the fact that their policies are bad and that they need to change, they're going to continue to lose, right? Because they've relied on identity politics despite the bad policy in order to win. And now it's finally caught up with them because things have gotten so bad that now people can't overlook it. People have to say, well, damn, I can't afford to live. I can't afford a house. We're about to go into World War III. Crime is out of control. The border is wide open. Yeah, saying that you're a bigot if you don't agree with us is not going to work anymore. It's just not going to. So again, I hope Democrats run an identity politics campaign. I hope they throw Kamala out there. I hope they run on racism and anti-Semitism and bigotry. I hope they run on this stuff. Run on it. Because that is going to be a guaranteed way to lose in 2024. It's not going to work this time. And Orange Man Bad is not going to work this time either. I don't think any of that stuff is working. But hey, we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.